Wow, that was such a fucking A, man. It's okay. I know why. I know why they did that. Welcome to the Alchemist Tarot. So I'm gonna do this message again, but I'm gonna do it a different way. Okay, I did it the wrong way. So I was focusing on this card, and I was looking at the person in the card, and it was giving Michael Corleone vibes. Sorry, I'm trying to get this focused on it. Hold on. There we go. Don't he look like Michael Corleone? And I'm saying this because I was just getting done talking about. I literally did a whole reading and it just disappeared, but it's fine. I'm just gonna redo it. But this is a message about your choices in picking a partner, especially when it comes to cheating and lying and the nonsense that happens in relationships. Because a lot of y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like, the fact that I thought of Michael Corleone, some of you are picking people who are like involved in negative shit, and then you're surprised when you get cheated on, or you're surprised when they don't treat you well. But then when you look at what they're involved in, you're like, okay, well, how? Like it's almost like were you really surprised that this was gonna happen? And instead of being upset at the woman or being upset at the man, I mean, of course you're gonna be upset, the semantics of it, but it's about doing the work and looking within to find out how you got in this position in the first place, and were you able to avoid this? Because 9 times out of 10, I feel that a lot of times when I see or hear about partners who cheat, it's usually because the type of person that they're choosing in their space. This person's been a cheater, either they knew that, or this person is involved in things that illegal, okay, or in a mob or mafia or drugs or whatever, and then they're surprised about them getting locked up or coming out cheating, doing all this stuff, and after holding them down. But it's like you could have avoided all that by just not choosing these type of individuals. What kind of men are you choosing in your space? Are you choosing a man that has a future, that has reliability, stability for you in the actual manner that would demonstrate real power, real authority, real, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times, I've seen where people who get involved in the drug game, they got all this money, they're buying all these cars, they're doing all these things, okay? And then you're getting upset that they're cheating on you with 5 different bitches. I mean, if you want to be part of that lifestyle, you have to ask yourself, are you okay with the lifestyle that comes with this? Because part of that is cheating and the nonsense. And if you're not willing to deal with that, then you can't be mad. Okay? Sometimes we got to be accountable for how we put ourselves in certain positions. And I'm not blaming people for being cheated on, but I do want people to do the inner work. Because without doing the inner work, you're just gonna act like a victim and act like everybody's out. Everybody did things to you, but it's like, well, honey, the red flags were there, the signs were there. You already knew they were a cheater. They're involved in things in life that would probably get them down that road. Okay, if they're not involved in the greatest things here, So I'm just here to let you guys know that if there's ever a situation where you get cheated on or you get played or whatever the case is, instead of being mad at the woman, do the inner work and find out how you got in this position in the first place. And then actually find out if you need to choose like your type, okay? Because I say Michael Corleone's my type, but like I really wouldn't want to be with somebody in the mafia. I just like how he looks, like the suit, the hair, the dark eyes, but like real talk. Some of you are messing with Michael Corleones out here, or like you're dealing with people who are just, they're involved in things that you can't get married to this person. You can't seriously think they're not gonna cheat. You can't come on, man. Come on, sis. You know what I'm saying? Some of you, the red flags, they already told you ahead of time, and then you're getting mad at them when it's like, really, you could have avoided all this altogether had you just preed out the person properly, which is, did you do your due diligence? Did you do your evaluation of the person? What I do personally is I do an evaluation. I treat people like it's an evaluation just so that I can understand, like, if I were in this type of predicament with this person, how would they act? If I was, if we lived together, or you know, if I'm doing things that are like I'm cooking for them and doing all stuff, like how would they act or how would they be, how would they treat me if I'm laying with them, and you know, when it comes to affections and stuff like that, like how are they? These are things I would start trying to learn to do so that you can pre people better before you get played, and not waste 2-3 years down the line with somebody you know is a cheater or is a liar, when you know damn well it was either, you know, what they had that was you attracted to them. You could be too superficial or too materialistic, but you're crying because they're out giving the next bitch money. Okay, I'm sorry to say this, but we do have to be accountable. We do. Sometimes the victim mentality can only go so far. And I'm getting tired of people who, like, I'm hearing about who they got cheated on, or like who cheated on them, and the actual person that cheated on them, and then I'm looking at them like, well, how didn't you think this was gonna happen? I you know what I'm saying? Like, I went through it myself. I'm not even trying to be like a whatever. Like, I had to go through it the hard way, where I was messing with people, you know, that weren't in the greatest like space to be dating, or just weren't dateable. You know, they're not husband material. They're not people you're gonna settle and be with for the rest of your life, because they're too busy in and out of jail, and they're too busy, you know, messing with all these different bitches, and they're too busy doing all this because that's part of what their lifestyle entails. And my thing is, are you okay with that? And if you're not okay with that, then this is not the type of person you need to be invested in. Okay, I'm just saying, like, as an auntie. And learning how to say no, or like being able to back out of certain situations where, you know, you have to think ahead of time. You got to think like, okay, if I'm with this person, they do this, and this. Where do I see myself with this person in 5 years? Will it be for the good or for the bad? If you can't say for real that this person would marry you, or that this person would have some type of future that you want, you need to drop that shit. These are questions you got to start asking when first dealing with people, man. Because they'll try to, like, you feel like they'll try to swoop you in and get you caught up in stuff, but like, you are the one that can make the choice. And some of you have to also learn how to be more preemptive with like understanding when you're conversating with people, and like hearing. Some people tell on themselves, okay? Some people truly tell on themselves. Like, they tell you ahead of time that they're going to cheat on you, or they tell you ahead of time that they're not just going to be for you. They tell you ahead of time that they live a risky lifestyle. They tell you ahead of time. Like, it's like, but they're subtle. Until it's 3 years later, okay, they're tired of you because, you know, you gained weight, they kept you in the house, and now they're calling you ugly or not treating you well, and they're cheating on you with other fucking bitches. Well, that's because the way that they live and the way that their lifestyle is, they wanted somebody to be a slave. They didn't want a partner. They wanted to have multiple partners. They're polygamous. They just didn't want to tell you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Man, I feel like the previous message was so much better when I was getting to the points of what I was saying, but I guess this is gonna have to do. But nah, man, I was just also talking about like my own previous experiences of being cheated on, and how it affected me, and how I had to change my type, like my actual type of guy that I cut. My archetype of man that I would go for was fucking not good. Okay, and I had to change that. I had to change that in order to like have better results, have a less likely of cheating, have a less likelihood of being dragged along for 10 years and still not married. You know what I'm saying? Like, those situations where it's like people are not going to be with you in these ways that you're trying to project on them to be, and then you feel hurt because they already showed you their hand ahead of time, but you just kept going anyway. That's something you got to be accountable for. And some people are also too desperate when it comes to being in a relationship with somebody that doesn't identify them as worthy enough to wife, worthy enough to just be with them, worthy enough. Like, once this person identifies that with you, you should have already been gone. There is no second chances. There is no, because this person already told you that they don't value you in the ways that you want to be valued. And if you don't want to be valued, honey, then you got it all fucked up. You feel me what I'm saying? And this is why doing the work is important. Instead of crying about what was done to you and how this person, all the things you did for them, you should be focused on, you know what, this person did me a favor because it shows me that they're not in alignment with me because they're in this level as far as their energy, and I don't need that in my space. They did me a favor. Thank you. Okay?